Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In tonight's video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint some sand dunes. We're going to do a sunset. It's going to be really fun. I'm going to try to keep it simple for beginners. And yeah, got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat tonight, so if you can ask questions while I'm painting, and we'll try to answer. Let's get started. All right, welcome. We are going to be painting live tonight. I haven't painted this ahead of time, so you'll get to see it as it all goes down. Hopefully for the good. We'll see. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I'm just going to warn you right now. It always goes ugly before it gets nice. All right, I'm using a 9 by 12 inch canvas.
That is a life lesson.
Exactly. If it's bad, you just keep trying. You
exactly.
Keep going.
It'll get better.
Keep working through it. Got my brushes here. I've got brushes, more than one. 2-inch Aspen from Princeton for the background sky. Just a large flat. If you don't have fancy flat brush, you can use like a foam brush or something, but you're just going to want something that can give you that nice gradated, I don't know what that word is. Gradiated? I don't know. Gradation in the sky. That's the word. There you go. It's off to a weird start tonight. Sorry. We're glad you're with us, though. Okay. And then you're going to want a liner brush for this. I know a lot of people don't like using liners, so we'll talk a little bit about that and how to use them, how to make them easier to use. So if you've ever struggled with liner brush and doing thin lines, then this is a good lesson for you tonight. And then I've got like a filbert and a flat for doing some of the smaller details and things. And an angle brush in case we need that. I don't know. We'll see. And a blender in case we need to blend anything, which I don't think we're going to have a ton of blending, but maybe up in here where the C is. Who knows? All right. Again, haven't done this ahead of time, so I just grab what I think I might need, and then we'll just find out as we get to it. Let's go over colors. Carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide. These are our blending kind of neutrals. Any colors will do in that same kind of family. India yellow, cadmium yellow light, Phthalo green yellow shade, Phthalo blue green shade, Ultramarine blue, Quinacridone Magenta, Pyrrole orange, or cadmium yellow, or cadmium orange, or cadmium red light. So if you don't have Pyrrole orange, just any of those dark or orangey reds will do. Oranges or orangey red. Unbleached titanium, titanium white, gloss glazing liquid. Again, use what colors you have in your palette. Don't go out and buy a whole set, but this is kind of just the general set that I like to use. You can do this really any color that you want. I think people get tied up too much in color sometimes and don't realize that as long as you get the darks in the right place and the lights in the right place, for the most part, the color takes care of itself. Values and getting the forms right and all that is actually a little bit more important than the exact colors that you're using. Because we could do a pink sunset like we did last week. We could do any number of colors in this as long as we kind of generally merge the colors. Pick a palette and use all of those colors to blend everything. Don't just use like one color that's a weird color and add it into the rest of your palette. Then it'll look a little jarring. But all right, let's keep going here. I don't know why I'm talking about color all of a sudden.
Because it's important.
It is important. It's one of the things, though, that, I do have color mixing videos, so if you want to check that out, if you go to my website, Thankful Art, and put in color mixing, I have 2 or 3 public ones and a couple for patrons, so on there. And all of that is at Thankful Art, if you want to pop up that Thankful Art link so they can see what it is.
And let's see. It just says Thankful Art.
Yep, thankfulart.com. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I have drawn in a very, very simple just water line just above the halfway mark. Halfway's here. So maybe about half an inch to an inch above that, we'll do our horizon line. It's kind of a low horizon line. And then we're going to have a bank coming up this way and one kind of dipping down. So you're going to get to see a little bit of the sea right here. I think I'm going to open it up a little bit more than in the picture, just so you get a little more of a glimpse of the sea. Maybe offset it a little bit so that this side is smaller than this side, so it's not like right in the middle of the picture, something like that. And then I think I'm going to do kind of a path here, do some grasses in here, and do some grasses through here that are tall. Okay, if we want to get really fancy, we might even put a post or two. We'll see if we want to put something like that in. I kind of would like to, but we'll see where we are for time. All right, I'm already kind of wasting time here. Let's get going. I am going to load my brush with white. This is the secret to doing blended skies. Now this sky is tricky because you've got orangey yellow to blue and yellow, or orange and blue are opposite from each other on the color wheel, and so they'll create a gray. And there is gray in the picture, kind of in this middle part, but we don't want the whole thing to turn gray. So the key is to do the first part, let it dry, and then do the second part over it and leave a little bit area kind of in between for them to merge. So we're not going to go all the way up with our yellow. We're going to stop right in here, and then we're going to bring our blue down. But in the middle, we want kind of a lightish color. So I'm going to use white, and we'll mix in our yellow, and there'll be a little bit of yellow there, but not so much. So let me show you what we're going to do. All right, I'm going to get my India yellow, kind of a golden yellow, so cadmium yellow medium would work if you don't have this particular color. And then I'm going to add just a tiny touch of orange right at the very bottom. So I'm going to get a little bit of that orange just on the corner. Not a lot of paint there, but again, I started with white, so these are all getting kind of toned down from not super bright. All right, I'm getting some more of that yellow. I think that's going to be good. So I'm going to find my horizon line. If you want to, you can tape it. I'm not going to worry about taping it yet. I'll probably tape it when I do the water because you want it exactly straight. But I'm going to go across, maybe a little bit lower than I think I need it. And then you can see how it's already kind of blended a little bit just by the way we loaded our brush. The darkest part is down at the horizon, and then I'm going to walk it up until it kind of just has no more paint left in here. And I want to be sure that I get it as low as my sand dunes over here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it down all the way across, just so that when we do our sand dunes, we've got that sunset behind it and everything looks good. All right, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to let that dry. I might add a little bit of pink up here. So I think I'm going to get a little bit of magenta and add that. And just right in here, kind of do a little bit of magenta. And it's streaking, but that's okay. We're going to cover it in the next step. What I'm doing is turning my brush to the side now. And I'm going to kind of really press down to get that paint. It kind of streaked on me, so I'm trying to get that paint worked out. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and just bring that all the way up. I don't want too much orange way up here though, so if you had a lot of paint left on it, don't do that all the way up, but that's just mostly the kind of magenta color there. I think that'll be okay. All right, so we'll do a little bit of clouds, but there's not a ton in this picture, and we'll let that dry. Let's go ahead and kind of just block in. Now the bottom part here is really dark. It's sunset, these are dark, and we'll put these bright pops of leaves and things, not leaves, grass, in here. So I'm going to go ahead and go with like burnt umber. I'm not cleaning out my brush at all. I'm just going to grab that burnt umber, and I want this to be sort of blue. I just like to use kind of blue. So I'm going to get the burnt umber and ultramarine blue. Those will make a gray, but I'm going maybe a little bit more on the blue side. And when we do our shadows, we'll I'll show you my favorite shadow color because it's really pretty. Hint, it has to do with ultramarine blue. How's everybody doing tonight, hon?
They seem to be in a great mood.
Doing good?
Yeah.
Awesome.
All the cool kids are here.
I had a request for Stickman to come back.
Yes. Amen. About time. Let's do it.
I know.
Where's the book? We'll do it right now.
I don't know.
We have people from Argentina, Norway,
Wow.
the unusual suspects, Canada, America, all over the place, stopping in to say hi.
I miss out on the chat. I
Yeah.
do. I do think you have.
I've got a great job.
I get to paint, so I think I still have the funner job.
No,
But I do miss that you get to chat with everybody.
I get to talk about food, so I think that's
Oh.
much more funner.
You do have. Yeah, that's true. That is pretty fun. Can we talk about English breakfast? We're going to offend some people right now.
Don't. Just don't.
We're going on a trip, and I want to show you my art kit at the end. So I hope we have time for that because I want to show you I'm kind of building up a travel art kit to bring with us because we're going on 3-week vacation to England and France coming up. And if you're interested in what I'm bringing, there's a link down in the description to my Amazon shop, and I've got a travel shop list, whatever, of all the stuff that I've bought so far. Whether we can get it all in our 2-bag thing. I think it might be an excuse to just buy art supplies when we get there. I don't know.
It's possible.
That may be something I may have to do.
I also believe that she's looking at me thinking that I'm going to mule some of this stuff over for her, too.
That's true. We did watch a video the other night, and the guy was like, "Don't make your spouse your pack mule." And I was like, "Damn it." I was already planning on having him bring my art supplies. Shoot. He's already got less stuff. Guys just don't need makeup or the hair stuff or any of that. Like, I'm already at a disadvantage, and then I got to bring my art stuff too. Oh gosh. But yeah, a lot of these hotels that we're okay. We'll let this. I
Do you need me to do
probably
something?
no. I think this is dry enough. I think this is dry. Well, we're making reservations. And a lot of the hotels have full breakfast. It's full English breakfast, and it's like showing the bar, and I'm like, Mark, it's got like beans and tomatoes and mushrooms.
We're not used to that here.
No, we're not. Not for breakfast. Like
Right.
it sounds great.
Yes.
Like just for breakfast though.
For dinner.
I'm just like, no, I don't know.
So
But I'm gonna have to try it.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to. We're
we're
game.
going to experience it.
We're gonna experience everything. I'm just like a little scared. Just not gonna lie. I'm a little scared. All right. Let's see. I think I want to let that dry a little bit more. No, let me see. No, that's dry enough. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and go back to this one. I'm gonna get my glaze. And then I'm going to get, it looks like kind of a phthalo blue color and maybe a little bit of the unbleached titanium. Now this will be opaque. So I grabbed the glaze because I want it to kind of blend down over, and this will make it so that this half is kind of transparent over the top of this. I'm going to try to do this in one pass. We'll see. If it doesn't work out, you can always do it again. As many times as you need to until you get it right or the way you like it, You could also change it to be not so blue at the top or be a little bit more pink. Like we could leave it like this. This looks nice if you don't want to do the blue, because the blue is going to be the tricky part of this one. I'm not going to lie. This is the hardest part just because you're going into a yellow or yellow orange. And we're going to probably end up with a little bit of green happening, but we'll see what happens. All right. So I'm going to just dab off this corner. I've got glaze here, and I've loaded the corner of my brush with the acrylic, or with the phthalo blue. So that when I've picked it up, I've grabbed it in the corner, and then I grab the corner here with the paint, and I'm going back and forth over the same spot. I'm not moving it around. I'm just staying in the same spot, going back and forth and really pressing down so that I'm getting this nice float of color. And we'll just go across. Let me see. Is that dark enough? No, I think I could go a little bit darker. I went a little bit conservative with my blue. I didn't want it too much. But I want to go ahead. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go across. And if we get too much blue down low, that's okay. I'll show you how to fix that. So I want to go. It's not going to look blended yet, so just kind of dab it on there, get it on the canvas. Don't go up and down with it, just across, and then I'm gonna very lightly just go and smooth across. Okay, that looks pretty decent. Did okay. But if you've got a lot of blue down here, what you can do is take a damp cloth, you could just get a little bit of water on it, or even on your finger. Sometimes I start with my finger and just see if that does it, and then if I need to, I can get kind of a damp cloth and just dab off across. And then we're going to put clouds and things in here, so you can always hide things with clouds if you have something that's just really looking weird. But that's pretty okay, I think. I still probably want some of that pink in there, so when I put my clouds in, I'll probably streak in some pink and things. But that looks, I think that looks pretty close to what I'm seeing in that picture, so we'll leave it at that. So fun little technique. It's called floating. I don't do it that often, but it's kind of the only way to, or a way, I should say, not the only way, but a way of doing this a little bit easier. Like, it's a little easier. It's just all in kind of how you load your brush, and just trying to not to get the blue down in this side where you're trying to keep it clear. Matte medium would work if you don't have the clear. You could even just use water if you want to. I don't like to add a lot of water to my heavy body acrylics because they don't have a lot of binder in them, but if you're using a cheaper paint, you can just add water to it and it'll be fine too. Like craft acrylics or something like that. Even student body would probably be okay. All right, let me think. What do I want to do? Let's go ahead and do the water here. I'm going to go ahead and tape it. This is a gentle release. What is it? Delicate surface. But painter's tape is fine too. I have this for watercolor painting because it's better for paper, but you can use just regular painter's tape on a canvas. It's not going to hurt anything. All right, so I'm going to, okay, really? Okay, there we go. He's being difficult. Stop it. So I'm going to go on the yellow part above. I want the straight edge, and I'm going to, let me mark it with a T-square so that I know exactly, and try not to get my T-square on a blue there if I can help it. So I'm going to go below here, and I'm just going to go like right just slightly above where I'm seeing that color start. Right there. And the reason that we want this T-square, and I'm making a fuss of taping it, is because your water has to be straight. When you're doing a seascape, landscape, you've got to have your water flat. If it's not flat, it will look like the world is falling off the edge. Everything is going to spill off the canvas.
Hence, flat earth.
Yes.
Maybe we should say level.
Level. Right. Level.
We don't push either round or flat agendas here.
We accept all kinds.
We accept all shapes of earth.
I don't know about that. I'm flying. I hope it's round. It'll be fun. All right, I'm not even gonna go there. Phthalo blue, ultramarine blue here, and burnt umber to tone it down. The sea in this photo is kind of grayed out. Maybe not that gray, but I'm seeing a little bit of both of these. Okay. Maybe I think I might add just a tiny touch of black. I don't like to use black, but sometimes that's kind of what I'm seeing. A little bit more ultramarine blue. So pretty much 50-50, I think. Ultramarine blue and phthalo blue. Excuse me. All right, let's see what that looks like. I think that's close. All right, I'm going to add just a little bit of my unbleached titanium to make it more opaque, because those colors, they were kind of transparent, so the unbleached titanium will help make it more opaque. And I'm going to go right up to that line and over it and all the way across. We're going to have grasses in this area, but I just want to make sure that I've got it going all the way across so that I don't have to worry about where my grasses end. Do like that. I'm going side to side with this, and then I'm going to streak it. So I'm going to get some white, and while that's wet, I'm just going to try to get the ocean in one go. A little bit lighter. Gonna do some shifting, and then like right in here I'm seeing a little bit of, yeah, my dog's being bad.
Let's come in.
In and out, in and out, in and out. I'm gonna get some of that orange color from the horizon line, or from the sky. Grabbed a little bit of magenta, but I think it's mainly the orange and the orange and the yellow. Some white, maybe get a little bit of that cadmium yellow light. It's pretty orange though. I don't want it to go too yellow. Kind of right in there, there's some yellow from the sky happening. And you can see this is all pretty muted. I'm going to get the darker blue and kind of tap in some darker blue. This is all still kind of wet, and so I'm just kind of playing with it while it's wet, trying to add some lines and things in my water. This is so far away, we're not actually seeing it very clearly, so I don't have to have it real defined, but we will see a little bit of it, so I do want to have a little bit of detail back there. Okay, I think that's gonna do. We'll see. There we go. I'll probably need to add a little bit of highlights on there. It wasn't wanting to lay down any more color, so this is dry now. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of that blue up here, the blue from the ocean. Get a little bit of my glaze. You can leave this part out if you want to, but I just like to darken up the corner. I don't know. Just right at the top. It's not really blending in for me, is it? No, it's not. I think that blue was still a little bit wet when I touched it. I'm going to just try to go over it again. we'll leave it. We'll leave it alone, let it dry. I thought it was dry, but it wasn't. All right, let's go ahead down here though. We can add some clouds. So I'm gonna get some of my yellow and my white. I got both of my yellows here. I'm just going a little bit. I just want to be a little bit lighter than my background color, and I'm just going to use now the 3/8 inch blender or just a stiff bristled brush that you can really push around. You don't want to use your delicate brushes for this. And not a whole lot of paint on my brush here. I'm wanting to have to push down to scrub that paint off the brush. If I have too much paint, then I will not have much control. Okay, get a little bit more here. Now, if I, you know, like over here, I'm wanting to lay down a pretty good amount of paint, so I'm gonna start where I know I want to add like a new color, or want to, you know, have a little bit more color being laid down more quickly. Getting that green, I'm sorry, getting the orange and more of my yellow, and I'm going to add just a tiny touch of that blue to make it a little bit green. This is that blue up at the top, just right up in here. See a little bit of it kind of coming across. Kind of tested it over here to make sure that it didn't look too dark. Get a little bit more of my yellow. And then if at any point you have, you know, too much color on here, and it will dry a little bit darker, so keep that in mind as you're doing this. Go a little bit lighter than you think you need, and then you can always go darker, or, you know, go, yeah, darker if you need to, but that's looking pretty good. And then I think I want to add a little bit of magenta, so I'm going to get a little bit of the magenta and a little bit of the unbleached titanium, and then a little bit of this blue. And that was the blue up here. I've cleaned out my brush for this, so I don't want to have the orange in there because I'm adding the blue. So I added a little bit of the blue to that orange, but not a lot, not enough to make it really really off-putting. Okay, just graying it out a little bit, bringing that down. All right, I think that's all I'm going to do with the sky. It looks good. The super simple clouds. These clouds are so easy to do this way. If you just use a brush like this that's got, you know, a little bit of texture, a little bit of grit, it'll make it really easy to get these nice, like, floofy clouds. All right, so I'm going to bring my sand dune all the way up to here, so I'm not going to worry about that area at all. All right, I'm going to grab this brush again now. I want to get this paint out of here so it doesn't dry out in my brush. I'm going to make sure you're keeping these paint brushes wet while they're waiting to be washed. So don't leave them in your water, but don't forget about them off to the side and let them dry out either, because you can ruin them. I've done that a few times, so I know it's not fun. I wouldn't recommend it.
Then you have to put cute tape on the handles.
Right. Yeah.
We used to always get questions about that.
I know. Yeah.
Everybody thought it was some kind of a secret.
Yeah,
pro
putting
tip.
the tape on my handle. I don't have very many of them that have the tape on them right now.
Yeah.
I've been doing better about it. All right, so I want to blend out that little bit of like where these two meet a little bit. So I'm going to get some of that pink that I was just using on my brush here, and I'm going to just dab it over I want it to be just opaque enough to kind of barely be visible. Probably need a little bit more. My paint's kind of runny for some reason. All right, so there we go. Kind of a medium purple, but that unbleached titanium will help make it more opaque. I'm just going to kind of walk it across here and dab it so that it's not too obvious. Yeah, should be almost the same value as that orange, and I'm going to grab some orange too and dab the orange kind of on there as well. This is just to kind of soften off that horizon line. It just was looking very like obvious. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this orange and just dab it back and forth on my ocean area. And let's go ahead and get a little bit of white in there. I still have the other colors in my brush, so I'm gonna dab that. You could use a Filbert. Sometimes I'll use a Filbert for this. I'm gonna wipe that off, and I'm just gonna kind of softly blend back and forth to kind of blend that out and soften it. In the picture, it's very like out of focus and blurry, so kind of want to try to preserve that look, that kind of blurred out look. Getting a little bit more white here and going a little bit brighter right there. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I'm happy with that. And then let's go ahead and start now. Once you get the water kind of the way you want it, then we can start on the grasses. So they have kind of a golden glow in the area where they're above the horizon line right here. So I'm going to get some of that yellow and orange, maybe a little tiny touch of burnt sienna. That will neutralize it. And maybe I'm going to try to keep this kind of transparent. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to wipe out most of it so I don't have a ton on my brush here, and I'm just going to kind of base out and set this brush down and sort of flick it upward where I want my grasses to be. And eventually I'll go darker, but I'm just kind of adding the glowy part of this guy right now. I brought that up too high when I was explaining. Don't want it up so high right there. So just kind of in this area here, and then all in through here and up. It won't be that obvious right now, but once we get our grasses in here, we should hopefully be able to tell what's happening. We'll see it a little bit more. Might go a little bit opaque. Little. Get a little bit more of that orange. There we go. A little bit more of that burnt sienna, just kind of setting the stage. We could do this afterwards too, and then we'd have to do our grasses again though. So I kind of trying to anticipate where I'm going to put my grasses, and then that way I don't have to do this again. All right, so I think in there somewhere-ish. Okay, like that. All right, now our grass. So put a little bit of green in the grass, but I think it's mostly going to be blue and burnt umber, maybe a tiny bit of black. Basically what we use down here, only now I'm adding a little bit more green. And I'm going to start by just flicking upward. These grasses back here are not defined, so they're really very like just dark and not not a lot of detail. So I'm getting a little bit more of my dark. I was looking a little bit too on the nose green. So trying to cover over that line of the seashore that I did right there too. And this is pretty much all we're doing in here. We're not gonna do a lot of detail right here. So I'm just flicking upward with this brush quickly, letting you need kind of a snappy brush that will spring back up for you to get this kind of look. You can also use like a Deerfoot Stippler or a fan brush, whatever brush you're finding that works for you. Now this side is not as dark. I really need to be using a different color here. So, because this side's catching light. So I'm going to do a little bit on there, but I'm going to change the color. I just want it to be dark, like down in here. And then I think I'm going to grab my burnt sienna and yellow oxide and use those up here. And, you know, try it on paper and see if your brush is creating this look. If it's not, then yeah, definitely change your brush. Maybe get like I said, a fan brush or something like that. I've done sand dunes with fan brushes before and they work great. Okay, I think that will do. And then let's go ahead and kind of block in our path. So this is my favorite shadow color because you can go fairly dark with it, and you can change it from really blue to really green to really brown, like so you can go cool with it or warmer with it, but ultramarine blue and white, and then a little bit of burnt umber. Now if you don't want the white, if you don't need it light, you can leave the white out, but ultramarine blue and white is a beautiful, like purpley blue. It's just a beautiful cool blue color. I'm already seeing kind of, are you seeing this sand dune that's like developing like right here? So I think I'm going to go ahead and just go with that and just add. Now this should be close to maybe a little bit lighter than what's there already. So I think we're pretty close to where I want to be. I'm going to maybe get a little bit more of that brown and start with that, and then I'll add the lighter color to it. So I'm just going to go back and forth with this brush, kind of walk it. Think about sand while you're doing it. Hear the waves. Put on some Beach Boys, or put on a wave. What is that soundtrack? You know, with some ocean sounds. Soundtrack. There you go. Get in the mood. But we're just gonna go side to side with this slightly upward motion. I'm being very cheesy tonight. I'm in a mood.
That's okay.
I'm in a vacation mood. I'm ready. I'm booking a lot of hotels and train tickets, and I'm going to be miserable to be around because that's all I'm going to want to talk about for weeks. Poor Mark. He's like already like, okay, we don't have to decide today. No, we do. We do need to decide. I can't sleep until we get it all figured out. Got my itinerary made, very detailed.
Yeah. Yeah, she sends me a thing like, oh, I have an itinerary. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. And I couldn't get to it right off the bat because I was at my other work. And then when I finally opened it, no, it's not an itinerary. It is an itinerary. Like almost down to the second.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Is that royalty free?
Sure.
Honey?
I don't see any kings on here, so.
Okay, turn it off, please. Thank you.
What was that?
I don't know. You're going to get me in trouble. Okay.
I don't know what that is. That's something in the background.
Don't
There's a car going by.
stop. All right. They don't mess around. We can get our YouTube. YouTube will hear that and hit me with the copyright infringement. We don't want to mess around with that. All right. So unbleached titanium with this blue here, and I'm adding a little bit of white too. And some glaze. Just going back and forth. All right, I think that's pretty good. Maybe a little bit more blue. Okay. And you can do as much sand as you want. So if you want a lot of sand, like we could bring some sand up here, maybe we will you know, change it out. And maybe there's a little bit of the light hitting over here, so wherever the light would be hitting, we can add some of our golden colors too. All right. Mark is in timeout.
No, everybody says that all they heard was a toilet flushing, so that's
Okay.
exactly what that was.
Okay. You tell that to YouTube if they contact me. I will.
Man, I get to have zero fun around here.
I don't make the rules. I just have to follow them. If I want to get paid for this video at all. You want to give the person who made that soundtrack the royalties for the whole video.
I'm not going to give anybody money for flushing a toilet. Sorry. It's not going to happen.
That's what they do, though. The first couple of videos that I did, I put music. You know, I owned the songs, so I thought, okay, I'm just going to put some music. Oh, no. They were like, so-and-so has claimed the thing, you know, and so any of the money that, which it's not a lot, you know, somebody was like, nobody with that many subscribers is, you know, whatever, you know, that I got a comment the other day and I'm like, I'll tell you exactly how much I make. Do not make literally pennies on 1,000 views, you know. So you're not making a ton of money off of YouTube. We're very blessed with patrons who support us over on Patreon, and that's where we are able to make a living. But the first probably 6 years that I was on YouTube until 2017 when I started my Patreon, we made very little off of the advertising, you know, monies. But anyhow, yeah, so those first few videos, I had to change the music to a royalty-free music so that I actually got the ad revenue from them, because they're pretty strict about it, which is, to be fair, that's correct, because that's, you know, the people who make the music should get their due too. But if I don't want to share. So. All right, I'm just adding a little bit more intense color now that I've got my other stuff on here. I'm just adding a little bit more intense color right at the horizon line there with my burnt sienna and yellows and a little bit of orange, a little bit of white. And then I'm gonna go through here and add a little bit of it, kind of just on the tips of these grasses here too. Kind of pulling from the top down. What are you saying?
Scrubby, scrubby, scrubby.
Yes. Okay.
I was just looking for your bonus.
What?
I was just looking for your bonus painting.
Where'd it go?
What painting?
Your bonus painting that you did on Saturday.
I think it's on the floor. No, it might be in the living room. I had it in the living room.
In the living room. Oh.
Let me see if it's on the floor. No, it's not on the floor.
We'll find it. Show me what you did.
Okay. Getting some green and some burnt sienna and yellow oxide here. Making kind of just a neutral yellowy green. I was trying to mix it in with that, but it wasn't mixing it enough, so, or toning it down enough. I want it to be really kind of olive toned. And I'm going to kind of tap in around my pathway. You can use a stippler brush, just whatever you've got that will make these kind of nice textures. I'm seeing this. And you can see how I am deliberately creating this V shape so that I'm getting this distance. Also, my grasses are going from large to small. That also creates distance, so make sure you're doing that. Here is the bonus video that we did on Saturday. This is Cave Fall in Pettigene, Arkansas. Looked it up. So,
Very nice.
yeah.
Talking about Brandon.
Brandon Holt. He's a pretty amazing photographer, friend of ours. So, really, he does it as a hobby, which, if you see his photos, you're like, really? Hobby? If you want a link to his Instagram, you can find my post on my socials, social media. We posted a finished painting, and I think Brennan put in the links to Brandon's. Brennan put in Brandon's Instagram. Okay, so just I'm adding a little bit more burnt sienna, just a darker tone here. I mean, we could really leave it at this and it looks good. You know, we're just gonna keep taking it up a little bit notches, but really at any point that you're happy with it, I would say stop. So, you know, I'm going to kind of use this to see you can get kind of grassy stuff by just setting it down and flicking it upward. It's not as good as a fan brush, but it'll do in a pinch, and I'm just being lazy by not wanting to have to clean another brush out, so it's good enough. We're getting that feel of grass and stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and start putting in our grasses. So I'm gonna clean off my palette first because I've got a lot going on here and I don't have any room. We need room to mix because the key to using a liner brush is water. If you have a paint that is fluid, you will have a much easier time. This brush is thin. It can't push the paint around really easily, and so you have to make it easy on the brush by having kind of an inky consistency. And if you have acrylic ink, you could use it. Just make sure, you know, it's a good quality. Made for working with acrylics. Acrylic ink, not like other inks. Not all are the same. Not all play well together. You can test it out and see, but okay. So we're going to just clean off, sorry, it takes a second. Clean off that palette. This is just a glass palette. I have it listed also in my Amazon down in the description of the video. So it's got links to my social medias, and they've moved the description. It makes it harder. YouTube has made it kind of hard to find the description anymore. Sometimes it just says more. It'll like say a couple of words and then it'll say more under just right up underneath the video. So that's where the description is.
Yeah. So,
Used to be have like a little arrow, but not even anymore. I don't even see the arrows.
right. Yeah. Just a dot more.
Yeah. So tricky. All right. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. I think I kind of went conservative, and I'm wanting to bring this up a little bit more to maybe up here. So I'm going to start out with my yellows, and I'm going to just kind of dunk it and scoop. You can even get an eyedropper and put water on your palette, but I want a pretty good puddle here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of my glazing medium. This just makes that water more sticky to the canvas. So because, like I mentioned before, when we were glazing, acrylics are not, heavy body acrylics don't have a ton of binder in them, not as much as craft paints do. Craft paints have less pigment. Heavy body acrylics have more pigment that gives you the more vibrant colors, but it also, you sacrifice when you add water. They don't stick as well to the canvas because the pigments don't stick. The binder sticks, but the binders are cheap and they're not doing, giving us the pretty colors. So, all right, so here we go. I'm going to grab the India Yellow and my burnt sienna. Mix this in until it's wanting to go off the canvas or palette here. Get away from the edge. Again, I got a couple of clumps in there. I'm going to get those out. I don't want those. All right, so mix it until you get a nice smooth consistency, and you should not feel any resistance. You should be able to push that brush around with barely even holding it. I'm barely holding it. I'm not getting any resistance at all. That's when you know you've got it thin enough. All right, so, and I'm going to add a little bit of white just so that it is more opaque, because this is going on top of other stuff, and this is a very transparent color, the India Yellow, so that white will just make it so it'll show up. All right, so let's try that. We'll see. We may not be dark enough. We'll start there and we'll see. All right, so I'm going to go up a little bit higher. I'm going to pretty much cover all the stuff that I already did, but that's okay. So when you've got it loaded properly, all you have to do is hold your brush up over the area. You can see I'm perpendicular to the canvas. That's another key. You don't want to come in at an angle when you're using a liner brush, because it won't give you, if you come in at an angle, you're going to be introducing a greater area of the brush to the surface, and you won't angle up and down. Angle up and down. Okay, so you want to avoid this by holding your brush right up over the canvas so that the only part that is in contact with it is the very tip of the brush. right? And so just holding it up, if you need to, you can support your arm so that you get the right angle. So you can hold your hand or rest it on something. You've seen those, artists, the oil painter artists that are doing paintings on a easel. They have those like sticks that they rest against the thing and then rest their arm so they can do it. So if you're new to painting and you haven't built up the muscle memory in your hand or arm yet, you might need to prop your hand up on something. Nothing wrong with that. Whatever gets you the results that you need. Same thing goes for traceables. When people say, oh, traceables are cheating or whatever. Like when I first started YouTube, I think before it was very common to see a lot of artists doing, teaching. And I'm pretty sure it was probably from elitist people who hadn't been exposed to a lot of instruction or whatever, or maybe felt like there was a right and a wrong way of teaching. But a lot of the teachers who taught and offered traceables for their students were just railed on, like, by I call them the art police, who don't want anybody to have fun doing art but them, or the people who are, true artistes, whatever that means. But I feel like whatever tools you can use to make your experience easier and more fun and will get you actually painting and learning, and the only way you can get from A to B is to do the thing. The only way you can get better at painting is to actually paint. And if you're not painting because you're struggling with drawing, then and while you're learning to draw, use a traceable, like, by all means. Like, I do say eventually you should learn to draw because it will help you with your art, but when you're first learning, it's not something that you absolutely have to have. Just get out there and paint and enjoy yourself. And I know artists that never learn to draw and still do fine, so you do you, whatever makes you happy.
Yes, this whole point is to be having fun.
Exactly.
And not frustrated.
Right.
And hating it.
Right.
That's not the goal.
Not getting done with your painting and being like, ugh.
So you tell all those art elitist stinky heads to go away.
Angela told me I could do what I want to. I know. I just want everybody who wants to paint, draw, whatever, do what, enjoy it. It has brought me so much joy, and I know that it has helped a ton of our followers who have told me that they use it for therapy, like I've got one patron who is a nurse, and she says the painting helps her decompress from her work. It's a very stressful job, and this is her kind of way of dealing with all of the stuff that she sees at work on a daily basis, So, I mean, it really does make a difference. And if you let, people who want to rain on your parade from keeping you from it, or making you feel lesser because you're not doing it the right way, quote unquote, they don't deserve an opinion. They can do what they want. They do them, and you do you. They don't have to. Sadly, sometimes it's our families saying stuff like that, though. So it's easy to ignore a comment or delete it, but not so easy when it's somebody in your own family. But I mean, artists in art schools go to museums and learn and copy from the masters. People like Vermeer and actual masters used camera obscura and different tools that were basically a traceable tool to help them achieve better results. So it's not like this is something new. We're just using these technologies that are available to us artists throughout the ages have used tools to help them create the art they want to create. So we just, all right, so I'm just adding burnt sienna now, a little bit, going a little bit warmer with these grasses. I want to finish these ones back here before I do these ones in the foreground, so these aren't not fully finished over here, but we're getting there. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit more burnt sienna, and I'm going to start to do some overlapping down a little bit lower. Getting a little bit of puddling, so just be careful about that. You can kind of avoid, if you're getting these like little puddle, dark, thick marks when you first start, you can roll the brush through the paint so that you're not getting these little puddles, and you won't have these little daubs of watery paint happening. But this is doing all right. If it's not showing up, just add a little white. That's what, and always when you're adding more paint, add more water. So that's too thick. And if you're pushing it through, it's really you can tell kind of, and you may end up doing this not realizing, but as you work and as you add more colors of paint and whatever, you might end up getting to a place where you're like pressing down a little harder to get that paint to come off, and you're getting thicker brush strokes. And if that's happening, the first thing I would check is your paint. Make sure it's thin enough, and then the second thing I would check is make sure the angle of your hand is staying upright. Those two things are gonna make a huge difference. All right, so let's get a little bit of burnt umber now, and I want to get a little bit darker color here. And this should be opaque. I'm gonna get a little bit of that ultramarine blue too. That was our original kind of grass color. But I'm going a little bit more brown with this one. So adding that water, making sure I'm adding just a little bit of that glaze just to make it stick. And rolling my brush to come to a point. And it's also important to have a good brush. This one has got really long bristles, so I can do these longer lines with it and not reload as often. But if you've got a thinner or shorter liner brush, the shorter liner brushes can be easier for beginners. So this one is a number two liner. Sometimes you'll hear them called script liners with these really long bristles. So those ones are my favorite when I'm doing grasses. But you know, if I'm signing my name, I would not use this brush because you won't be able to get tight control with it. You're gonna need a smaller brush, or a shorter brush, I should say. So things like lines are great for these long bristled ones, but not so much curves or tight turns or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to use this dark color now to overlap and make sure that any of these like little bits that are at the bottom here are kind of covered over a little bit. I don't know if you were seeing any of that, but and I'm actually doing a little bit more detail than is in the picture here, but that's okay. Can't help myself. Lose my voice. All right, and then the way I'm overlapping these brushes, or these brush strokes too, is kind of important. So I'm kind of going in these like little arcs. You think about the way grass grows up and out, so the top might be the longest, and then it gets shorter like a fan. It fans out from this clump where it grows, and so you'll have these grasses that are kind of coming up and then out and then out, and then another cluster next to it doing the same thing, and so you'll have these crisscrossing things happening. And so kind of pick a spot and do 3 or 4 kind of in an arc, and then move over a little bit and do another set in an arc. Let me do some down here so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. So kind of start here maybe and do several, kind of generating from the same location-ish. And then move over a little bit and do the same thing. And that's how you get natural looking grasses. And just keep moving and overlapping, and then you get these beautiful little clusters of grass happening. Okay, getting a little bit of green. I'm going to do a little bit of green over here, and I'm going to do some tall ones with a dark color. Bring it out over my path. I left this corner dark deliberately because I'm not wanting to have to do a ton of detail here. We'll put a little bit of detail in some of these areas back here. A little bit more maybe. But it's so dark, and this, you know, we're kind of wanting this really deep contrast here to get that same feeling as our picture. This is one of the things that I liked about it. It was that it kind of felt like moody, you know, it feels like dusk, having this really dark. With the golden tips, you know. Right, getting a little bit of that green, adding it into that brown color that we were using over here. I'm going to finish these off by just adding some dark green at the bottom, just kind of toning it and transitioning to a darker green there. And what that indicates is that, you know, this is all in light, and then this is now in shadow. And then that gives us room down here to do these clusters of grasses that are brighter and catching more light. So I'm going to get a little bit of green and my India yellow. If you've got green gold, you could use it. I didn't add it to my palette, but I probably could use it here. This is an area where I'm seeing kind of that kind of a color. So India yellow and phthalo green gets you close to a green gold.
We got a question when you got a second.
Yep.
The person would like to know, do they have to use a liner brush to do this?
No, I'll show you with the angle brush. So you can use an angle brush, or you can use a brush. You could use a fan brush. This particular one has a lot of grasses, and I find that for the bigger grasses, a fan brush doesn't work very well. But this stuff back here, we definitely could have used a fan brush for it. And you use the same kind of paint, the thinned out paint. Here, I'll use this green here and do some grasses back here. Just set it down and flick up with it, and you'll get the and I've done whole sand dune paintings with, you know, the fan brush and like a couple liner brushes, and to do the grasses. It works great. And it's good, it's quick. So it doesn't take as much time, for sure. Right. Maybe get a little bit of white. And I can keep my paints a little bit thicker with this brush too, so that's another nice thing about it, is that because it's stiffer bristled, I can push the paint around a little bit more easy than I can with my liner brush. I don't want to leave that in the water though, because it'll bend the tip. So this is a dagger striper, They work great for grasses. Now with the dagger striper and an angle brush, you have to just be careful not to twist your wrist as you're putting these in, so they have to stay with the direction of the adding that color in here. That's a really nice color there. That's what I want right there. See, you can get these nice, and the nice thing about these brushes is that you can do several blades of grass with them. They load a ton of paint here, a lot less loading, but you can see like here I did one where I'm too close in, honey, they're not seeing this, thank you. I did that one where I was kind of twisted to the side a little bit and it went thick on me. So I find that I have to be really careful when I'm doing grasses, because I like to do grasses really quickly, and I feel like I have to slow down when I use these kind of brushes. They're not bad, they're just, you know, they have their moments, you know. Same thing with, I'll use the angle brush over here for these ones. Same exact type of deal. You tip down towards yourself and just pull it out and up. But it kind of is a little thicker than the liner brush, so you know, you just may decide what look you want with yours. But they're great for like a lot of times what I'll do is like do the base and maybe like get it started with this and then go back in and refine it with the liner brush. And it's fine. Some of the grasses, you know, some grasses will have thicker, you know, blades, and or like a lot of times when I'm doing a painting like a flower meadow or something like that, which we'll be doing, I think, next week. We're doing flowers, a flower meadow. We'll probably be using this brush to do the grasses in that video. The thing with the angle brushes and this brush though too is that you're not going to get curved lines. So I'm getting kind of fairly straight-ish lines. I can curve it a little bit, but not too much. If I get too tricky with it, then I end up with this thicker lines. So let's get these really bright yellow. That is what we're here for. So let's do that right now. And I'm gonna get, just to make it easier on myself, I'm gonna get some of my, if I can find it, Indian yellow in the fluid acrylic. This just gives me a head start and not having to add so much water to my paint. There we go, because it's already fluid. So I'm going to get some of that, maybe a little bit of the green. There we go. Nice. And then I'm going to use the fluid titanium white too to lighten it up. This is just golden fluid acrylics. These are professional quality, so they have a lot of pigment. They're great. They're not cheap, but they're worth every penny. I've found them to be really great to use. Okay, so I want to get some overlapping here and have some of these taller grasses. This looks like somebody was sitting down to take this photo because this horizon line is so high and these grasses are so big right here, so they've got to have been, the camera had to have been pretty low for this angle. So I want to come up, might get a little bit of the green added to this. There we go. And see, this is where I was saying, you know, get the angles. You can really get these nice Oh shoot, I was gonna put a, well, I guess I could put my posts here coming down, maybe. I feel like I need more yellow. This is very, very green. A little bit lighter. Or maybe a little bit of red. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe a little more orange. There we go. Let's try that. Really, all these colors are in here. I'm seeing all of it, so you don't have to pick one color and do it everywhere. But these lightest colors are not as frequent, so just keep that in mind too. You're not needing to do as many of them. They're going to have a high impact. Like that's probably too much going on right there. I don't know what happened right there. So, but the nice thing is I can take the darker color and just kind of blend back over and kind of hide any bits that I don't like and overlap until we get it the way we want it to be. So if you kind of get a couple lines in there and you don't like them, then don't panic. You can always kind of, the nice thing about acrylics, they cover really easily, so now we've kind of made a mess into something that looks like we meant to do it. And you can let these dry too if you're finding that some of these lines are lifting as you're putting your next color on. You can let it dry completely and come back to it. Nice. Okay, getting some more of the, maybe more of the russet color over here. And then I always like to do a few of the grasses kind of coming down, because they'll kind of curve over and bend over and come towards you. So kind of having a few of them sort of like that. Like think about where they might start and kind of pull down. I don't really like that at all. I pushed the tip down too much when I tried to do that. Okay, fix that. That is the nuclear option. Don't use it very often because you'll end up lifting off colors that you don't want to lift. But occasionally it's warranted. Okay, getting some white and well, actually I think I'm going to start with the darker color and then we'll add the white later. So I'm going to dab in some grassy tips. Definitely do not have enough of the dark of the, I'm going to do some way back out here. Just dabbing. A little fluff that is on the end of these grasses. Kind of in a cone shape. And it's so nice having this dark behind us because we're getting really beautiful, dramatic, showing up really nicely for us. And I'm varying the heights of them and the direction so that they're not all kind of facing the same way. And not all of them have the, fully matured grass seeds on the tip, so you can decide how much you want. Just kind of finding grasses that I've already done and adding this to the end. That's pretty much what I'm doing. Right, getting there. It's looking good. I'm liking it. Maybe not exactly the same colors, but it's close enough. Okay, I think that's good enough. I think I want to get some of this dark brown and just do a few back here. Oh, come on, more brown. Now these ones need to be really small. Do a few over here. And really you could probably do these ones back here in the same colors. It's probably important to, it is important to keep adding probably. It is important to have the same color as the grass that you have in here so that you don't have weird, like all of a sudden you have a weird color that you're introducing back here. It'll look more natural if the seeds and the seed heads and the grass are the same color. All right. I ended up with kind of an area back here that isn't very defined, so I think I'm going to get my scrubby brush here, my stippler, and just kind of stipple in some detail back there. Nothing too crazy, just a little something. And then now that we kind of know where our path is, I can get some of that unbleached titanium and some of my ultramarine blue, and this one is no brown. And just add some stippling or some scrubbing side to side. Don't get too close to your grass, but you can add a little bit more detail there if you want. I don't know if I like that or not, but too late now. I think I want it to be kind of connected, so I'm going to just sort of smush it side to side until it doesn't look so patchy. There we go. Okay. A little bit of that burnt umber and ultramarine blue, and I'm going to bring that color down here in the hillside a little bit. I don't think that is going to be that bright right there. Okay, that's better. And then maybe get a little bit of the grass and just add some highlights right in there where that grass comes down over the path. All right, I think we're almost done. Let me get a little bit of this darker brownish green. Get a little green and burnt umber, burnt sienna if you need it. This should be dry now, and I'm going to go underneath with my darker color and tap in you can use your glaze too if you want it to be a little transparent, which I think I kind of do. So see how that is now, like softening off the bottoms of my grasses. Doesn't have to go up very far, but it, especially like anywhere where you're seeing the end of that grass, you really need this dark glaze just to get that black even. Okay, I don't know why it's not covering right there. Let me try that again. Black and glaze, a little bit of green. There we go. Just want it nice and dark right there. And I see some kind of orange. I didn't get a lot of like bright oranges. So I think I'm going to get a little bit of my magenta and my orange and make kind of a bright fiery red. And then I'm going to add it to the color that I was using in my grasses. So I'm getting more of an intense orangey color. Maybe not that much white. Okay, let's see. Just use it in a few little places. Yeah, I like that. A bit more orange. I think I might even go more red, not add so much white. This is just kind of finishing touches here. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of grasses like right in here. Maybe a little bit darker. Maybe there's a little cluster that is a little bit intermediate sized. If I wanted to do the posts, I could do them. It's just 7:30. We got time.
You're doing good.
Huh?
You're doing good.
Okay, I've got time to do little posts. I think I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to switch to my round brush. Be easier. So I'm going to get that brown and ultramarine blue, burnt umber and ultramarine blue, which is my shadow color, and go a little bit lighter just so that they'll show up. But I think I'm going to do post down to here. So I'll just do start there and then do another one. And I want them to get a little bit bigger as they go up. So maybe just do like 3 or 4. So think about where my line is here and just kind of widen it. There. And then maybe right here. Okay, get a little bit of white. And highlight kind of one side of them, the top. And you can even use that gold color from our light. Maybe the tops are lighter and then the bottoms go dark. You know, the bottom should kind of match the darkness of the bottom here, so I'm going to kind of get the black and go a little bit darker on the bottom of them. That's fun. I'm not sure I made those big enough, but
I think so.
we're making it up. I don't know. It's not in my actual picture, so I'm not really sure exactly what's happening. If I did another one, I'd probably do it up tall right here, but I kind of already did my grasses, so I'm not gonna mess those up. But well, we've got a little nod to the
To the posts.
posts there. Close enough. So bright red here. And I add a little bit of burnt sienna just to tone it down a little bit so it's not so saturated. But go ahead and kind of darken up the back side of some of these. And I can add glaze too. You know, we can use this color with our glazing medium and go over areas to tint them more red. You know, after these grasses dry, just like we did with the dark, we can tint them. As long as we have our color more, you know, transparent enough, I can tint on my grasses down here. I don't know, we're just playing.
Making it go round.
Yep. I'm not going exactly by the picture today, so it's not going to be like ultra realistic because of that, but that's alright. It's a painting. Just trying to have fun. I think sometimes we're afraid of trying, you know, branching out from the photograph. At least I know myself. I've been painting for 30 something years and I still get a little scared of doing that, you know, but you know, that's when your own kind of personal style starts to come out too. So you gotta let yourself have some creative freedom. Try it. If the worst that can happen is you could paint it live in front of thousands of people and fail. So that's, you know,
That could happen.
that could happen. Or you could, you know, nobody could see it and you just try again. Either one. But you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So we're boldly boldly trying something new live on TV. Why not?
Hey, nothing else to do this Tuesday.
Exactly. It's not chairs. We're not adding chairs, so that's all I know.
No beach chair.
No beach chairs. It's all good. I have a running nemesis with beach chairs, beach paraphernalia, benches, any kind of chair-like objects just seem to be difficult for me to paint for some reason. Don't know why. It's a mental block. Must have had childhood issues with chairs or something. It's like I can't do it. I can't do it. All right. For some people, it's clouds, water. For me, it's chairs.
Your nemesis.
Yes. Getting some more of this brighter yellow. So I've just added a little bit of that darker brown to my tufts of grass, and now I'm going to come in and just kind of dabble on just a little bit of really bright. I don't think I needed to do this. It was fine the way it was, but you know, thinking about where my light's coming from, so trying to capture the light on the part that's closest to the light source. And I probably could have used a few more of these now that I'm seeing my picture a little more carefully. So I'm going to add a few more last minute ones here and just hope for the best. I'll just overlap them a little bit. They won't be as detailed, but that's okay.
Well, Marina says that she wanted to paint a beach scene with chairs, and you made it possible for her to do so. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did the traceable correct. I didn't use my drawing of the beach chairs for the traceable. So there you go. You were all set. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, you know, it's not perfect, but it's there. Good enough. I like it. It's fun. I'm gonna get a little, I feel like down here I could still use a little bit of detail just right in here. Kind of where I did that grass. Just a few little highlights on that grass that's coming down over my path. You can also add, you know, anywhere else that you feel like you need it, but yeah, kind of fun. That'll dry darker. It looks really bright right now because I just put it on there, but it'll dry. Yeah, it needs to be bright. It is bright in the picture too. So I just opened it up a little bit and added some more over here. Is all I did. So I pretty much went by the same picture for the most part. Added our little posts there, which can't really see very much, but it's all right. Ooh, super chat. Nice.
Super chat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sign my name with yellow.
We had a gift from Angela M.
Angela what?
Angela M.
Oh, thank you,
No special
Angela.
message, but thank you so much
Very
for the
sweet.
support. We love it.
Yes. Very kind.
Yes. Yes, everybody is always so generous, and we're grateful for everybody showing up and supporting us on a
Yes.
Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning for those of you in the Australia area.
Oh, yeah.
Late at night for some people, or early mornings. So
I know we tried to figure out a time that there's really no good time when we've got people watching from all over the world, you know, that's exactly right for everybody, but this is the only time Mark could do it. We only have a very limited
through the weekdays, yes. For
through
sure.
the weekdays, definitely limited on what times we can do it. So
And and some people are up at 2 a.m. watching painting videos. Others are adding
Right.
places they want to visit in England. Do you know anybody like
Not
that?
naming names. No,
Okay.
don't know who would be up that late.
I like that my
Early.
my new phone gives me notification of all the times things are added to our little mats. Like 2 and well,
Like what?
the one that caught my
How do I
attention
turn that
was,
off?
was Big Orange in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, was added to the England.
Yeah, I don't know why that got added. I did not do that. I did not mean to do that. I must have done it, but I didn't mean to do that. So just adding a last minute few little brighter highlights there, and yeah, pretty happy with that. Really fun little simple seascape. Hope you try it. If you do, you can share it with me on my social media. What were you laughing at?
Jazz wants to know if I've made my period specific costume yet.
See, I'm with you. I think I have a dress that might work. I am really tempted to
You can go all out.
do it.
You really can. I think that you would have a blast if you do.
I would so have a blast.
I think it's something that you may
have
need
to-
to purchase while you're over there.
Yeah, I may
'Cause we
have
saw
to.
that they do sell them or stuff. So
Yeah, that'll be the key. If they have my size and they have a dress that works, I will be in that parade. They're for those who are not following our trip details. I think a couple of weeks ago we talked about this, but we found out that we'll be there for the Jane Austen Festival in Bath.
and I'm so besides myself.
I'm
I'm just like cannot.
Was
stand it.
so excited I almost cried. Like that's how much of a Jane Austen fan I am. Like Pride and Prejudice is my all-time favorite book. I've watched all of them. The only one that really is true to the book, in my opinion, is the Colin Firth version. But there's others may differ. Don't really
Too bad
care
he's
for the
not
Keira
easy on the
Knightley
eyes.
version. You know what really gets me is when they quote Jane Austen as saying
No.
stuff from the Pride and Prejudice movie that came out with Keira Knightley and stuff. I'm like, no.
Carolyn suggested I dress up as Mr. Darcy.
You totally need to. We're having tea at the Jane Austen Center, and it's called Tea with Mr. Darcy. So if you dress up as Mr. Darcy, that would be the highlight of my life, probably. Sad. It doesn't take much. I'm easy to please. That's all I'm saying. A little ascot, and you're good.
What? A little what? Ooh, the family show.
All right, I'm going to show you my travel kit since we're talking about Bath and all of the travel
So the
stuff.
show's over.
The show's over. If you're done with the painting, that's it. This is the little thing I found. It's again in the Amazon thing if you want. I don't know the name. Utlim. It's hard to find. But there's two sizes. The pink one, the colored ones are smaller. This is the bigger one. They don't come in really pretty colors, unfortunately. And I wish they had a handle. I'm actually going to put a handle on mine because I want to be able to carry it around. So I'm going to try to figure out how to sew a handle on this. But it's magnetic, opens up. I've got my watercolor palette, some Caran d'Ache, water-soluble pencils, my sketchbook. I'm going to do a video on everything that's in here, pens and pencils and brushes, and there's pencils in here. I've had this MoMA bag since 2017. We went to the Museum of Modern Art. I've already got paint on it. And I've been like, I haven't used it because it's like the most narrow pencil bag ever. And I'm like, this is so useless, but it fits perfectly in here. So it was made for this trip.
We shot a video for this.
We did. Yeah, we did. So we'll be doing, let me know what's in your essential kit for travel. Cause I mean, honestly, I've never done this before. I don't paint on location because I paint with acrylics. So I'm going to be doing watercolors, and I think I'm going to sacrifice my shampoo so I can bring like three colors of gouache. So That's how desperate I am for some opaque paints.
If it fits into
Because
the
I'm
quart
not a
bag,
watercolor artist at all. So
if the liquid fits in the quart bag, that's all that matters.
exactly. So I'm bringing at least white and probably 3 other colors. So, but if you paint on location or know somebody who does, I've been watching a ton of videos, but you can pop me a. It won't let you post a link in my descriptions, but you can at least say their name and or what you would bring if you were going to be painting on location. I would really like to know.
We need to add that into the Facebook group.
For sure. Yeah, and we'll be posting closer to the time of our trip. We will be posting the details, of like my travel kit. We'll be doing like more vloggy style things, and we'll still try to do at least 1 or 2 videos while we're on location. It's calling it a working trip, so I'm going to be keeping up with my Patreon stuff and my weekly videos with my patrons and things like that. And so I'm going to try to, if we have fun clips and can get them edited on vacation, because we're driving a bunch of places and doing a bunch of stuff. I don't know how much of it we'll be able to do while we're on location, but anyhow, we're going to try to kind of document our trip, and we're going to have tons of paintable opportunities, hopefully staying in the Cotswolds, going up to York, London, and over to Wrexham.
And the
we gotta go,
Mottler.
yeah, Wales. We gotta
Mock
Loop, yeah, for Mark. So we were gonna go to the ocean actually, but we couldn't fit it into this trip. So next time. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know you're like, stop talking about your trip, but
we're very grateful
you're
for
gonna have-
everybody for showing up
yes.
in the constant support, not just in the financial support, but
No.
just showing up. It
Absolutely.
really does make our week,
Yes.
because you guys are some really great friends,
Yes.
and then we look forward to spending time with you guys.
We do. Yeah.
We really do.
That's well said, hon. Yep. We talk about you guys a lot when we share what we do. Like, I feel like this is not a job, it's a passion.
Yep.
I love it. Love you guys, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.